What's up guys, this is Megs from DCC. Today I'm going to be showing you how I do my Keratosis Pilaris body cream. I really love this cream because I feel like it's helped to solve the problem. I've had this problem for a while and I haven't really been sure how to go about it, and I feel like it's really working. The nice thing about this cream as well is that it has a 1-year shelf life because of the fact that I've added Urea as a preservative. So we have 3 different phases today. The first phase is the water phase, which is what I'm busy with. The second one is the oil phase, and then the third one is the cool down phase. So your water and oil phase needs to be kept in 2 different containers because of the fact that we're going to heat them up to 70 degrees Celsius. Here I'm mixing aloe vera juice concentrate with distilled water because the recipe calls for aloe vera juice. I just feel like the concentrate goes a lot further. Now we'll be adding our urea to the water phase. I feel like this is the hero ingredient of this recipe because of the fact that it really gets rid of those bumps that you struggle with having keratosis pilaris. Now you're going to stir that into the water phase, and you are going to set it aside and wait for the urea to fully dissolve. Next we move on to our oil phase. We start with the shea butter. And then you're going to add some almond oil. You can actually use sunflower oil as well. I just prefer to use almond oil because it's got a bit more skin benefits. Now you add your emulsifying wax. I feel like this really makes the cream. You'll notice that when the water phase and oil phase gets poured together, the emulsifying wax is what actually turns it into a cream. You don't really need to mix these together too much because when they melt, they will mix together anyway. you have a thermometer lying around, now would be a good time to put it in there. You want to make sure that it doesn't really go over 70 degrees Celsius, because then the ingredients might get burnt. Now you're going to put them into a water bath, and you are going to heat these phases up separately so that it reaches 70 degrees Celsius. When your water phase is ready, you're going to put it down on the counter, and you're going to pour the oil phase, which you did second, into your first water phase. You'll be using a stick blender to make sure that it mixes properly, because this is when the reaction happens that makes the cream. You'll see it's sort of a foamy mixture at this point, so once it cools down, it turns into your cream. You want to continue stirring this for about 2 to 3 minutes just to make sure that everything is equalized. Now you're going to pop your thermometer in, and you're going to put that on the side and wait for it to go below 40 degrees Celsius while you prepare your actives. So for the actives, I've added lactic acid, which is a gentle exfoliator. I had 80% lactic acid, so I needed to get it down to a 5% mix. I just did this by simply mixing it with some distilled water. Next we move on to our allantoin powder. This is really good for calming and healing. Moving on to our Panthenol. This is a really nice ingredient with regards to barrier support. If you have a powder available, I would genuinely recommend using that instead. I feel like the gel has a super sticky texture and isn't the easiest to work with. I decided to go with GeoGuard as a preservative because it is the most natural preservative. You only need 1 gram to actually make this batch last for about 12 months. And then lastly, with regards to the actives, I'm adding some dimethicone for occlusion purposes so that it goes onto the skin more smoothly. I'm just doing a final test here to see that the mix is below 40 degrees Celsius before I add the actives. If you add them when it's not below 40 degrees, it might damage some of the actives and what they can do for your skin. So this is very important to wait for it to cool down a little bit. You can see I'm struggling here because of that Panthenol. Now, once all of your actives have been added, you want to make sure that the pH of your cream is sitting at a certain level. So the pH needs to be anywhere between 4.8 to 5.3 pH in order for the actives and the preservative to work nicely in this lotion. So because my pH was sitting at around 3.8, I had to actually create a pH booster so that I could raise the pH by quite a bit. I did this by mixing together some sodium bicarbonate and distilled water. I think the main thing to keep in mind when you're trying to alter the pH of your mix is just to do it slowly and not pour it all in one go, because it can actually bubble and it just won't be a good consistency. So we're going to do it sort of drop for drop. So another thing to keep in mind with regards to your bottle that you're going to be using, I would actually recommend something that's not clear, because of the fact that these ingredients are sensitive to sunlight and sunlight can deteriorate them. So you want to try and keep in a cool, dry place away from sunlight. I would also recommend using a sunscreen if you are going out into the sun and you've been wearing this cream. It's good to just put some sunscreen on so that your skin doesn't get affected, because it does make your skin more sensitive. Now that we've altered the pH of our lotion, you're just going to give it another stir just to make sure that everything has been well incorporated, and then test it for the final pH to make sure that it is right. Now I'm going to be bottling up the lotion. You can use anything to make it easier to try and funnel it into your bottle. So this mix makes about 200 mils of lotion. So I feel like that would go quite a long way, to be honest. When you use this lotion, you want to try and put it onto damp skin. So as you come out of the shower, you want to try and put it onto your skin while it's still sort of damp. Yeah, try not to towel dry too much before adding the cream. Cool, and the cream has been bottled. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys